Hello Royals and welcome back to Happy Blonde. We are back with another Party Princess training video, and it's concerning one of my favorite topics, and I'm genuinely surprised I haven't talked about this in my channel before. Today we are going to be talking about original costumes, or costumes that are unique to your company. When the Party Princess industry started, everybody and their mother, including myself, was obsessed with having the Disney parks aesthetic. So every single company across the board had the same costumes from the same sellers in the same shades, and little by little that tendency has been drifting away, and I've seen more and more companies coming up with their own original takes on the Disney princess and character costumes, and I find that very, very interesting. I did so myself. So today we are going to be talking about how you can actually start off having those unique costumes that fit your company aesthetic. Hi, if you don't know who I am, my name is Shirley, better known as Happy Blonde on social media. I am a party princess, content creator, performance coach, and the proud owner of the character entertainment company Pixie Dusted. I have a dirty mirror because I am also a cat mom and my children misbehaved earlier today. So talking about these costumes, they are not necessarily 100% original, but it just means that, for example, we all know that Cinderella's dress is blue. However, taking it to your own side, giving it your own twist, can easily mean just changing the shade of blue, changing the silhouette, changing a pattern, adding an accessory, adding a brocade to the dress, just anything that really deviates it from the Disney parks aesthetic. And this is something that I highly recommend. Obviously, there are companies that are park accurate and there is nothing wrong. They are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. However, I do recommend having your own take on your own costumes for two reasons. Number one, and that probably is the most obvious, we are working most of the time with copyrighted characters. So having unique versions of their gowns can really help your tushy eventually, you know, knocking on wood, if you ever get sued, in order for you to be able to say that your characters are only inspired because they are not necessarily a park replica, because you have variations in their costume and or aesthetic. The second reason is that obviously every single company is different, and the costumes should reflect a company's mission, brand, quality, and standard. And that is the first step that you need to take if you want to have these costumes that have an original twist, a little you factor. And that is identifying your brand and what it is that you want your costumes to really radiate, you know? So when I was starting out my company, I was also one of those girls that was set on having Disney park replica costumes. And then Miss Isabella, Señorita Perfecta, she changed that entire ball game for me, and I had already changed it. I just didn't really notice it until she came along. When I was putting Isabella together, if you've been around the channel for a while, you know that I ordered a costume and it got lost. It actually arrived to Colombia instead of Puerto Rico, and I already had an event booked for Isabella, so I had to express order a bridesmaid dress from Shein, and I altered the entire thing, keeping Isabella's main outfit factors, but just drifting it entirely to giving it my own twist. And whenever the original dress actually came in the mail, because it did come in the mail about 2 months after, it was horrible. I was so in love with my creation and how I reflected Isabella, because the outfit, in a certain way, it really resembled my company's branding. My company's branding is mostly obviously based on Rapunzel. However, it has a very fresh, whimsical, airy look to it because we have the little lanterns and the clouds, and we do have a lot of pinks going on and lots of little detailing. If you look at the lanterns from my logo, they are a gradient effect and they have a little brocade on it, a little design on it. And I hadn't even noticed that my first 4 company costumes had already gone through that route. They were not necessarily park replica, and they were my favorite costumes in the company. And the park replica costumes just weren't, because they felt generic. Aside from feeling generic, I had a lot of companies try to copy like the exact same things that I was using. And that wasn't nice, because they were copying the exact same things, posting on the exact same day. That's a whole different story. So basically, that is the first step that you need to take in order to identify where it is that you're going. How is your branding reflected? How is your company's quality and standard? Are you a person that is inclined to details, maybe a little bit more to colors, to textures, and really use all of that with the guidance of your costumes. So in terms of these unique U-factor costumes, I say that they fall into 3 main categories: the little details, the silhouette, and the 100% original. So let's go over all of them so that you can have a better understanding and point of view as to which direction you're going to take. The first one, it's the little details. These are costumes, for example, like my Cinderella dress. These are dresses that are most of the times park replica costumes. You purchase them from these sellers that everybody knows, for example, Cosraya, Angel Secret, that they do tend to have that park quality style. And whenever they do come in the mail, you add little trims or a lace, or you change a small detail to it. That is basically the little details costumes. The ones that arrive as park replicas, and you either bedazzle them or you add your own twist to make it your own. That is the case for me for Cinderella, even though my sleeves are a little bit different. And that is also the case for Alice. When Alice came in the mail, she looks exactly like the Disney Parks ones. I changed the trimming on her apron. I want to bedazzle her a lot more. My bow has a different silhouette, but that's, you know, potato. The second category is the silhouette, and this is where my company falls in. This is the type of costume where you look at your character. I'm going to use Rapunzel as an example because my Rapunzel dress is the perfect example for this costume category. You look at the character and you keep the silhouette of their costume. Rapunzel's dress is obviously not long. It falls mid-calf, sort of. It does have the puffy sleeves, and the long sleeve part, it actually comes up to here specifically. And she has that square neckline on the front, the higher neckline on the back. She has the lacing right up front here. That's keeping the same silhouette. It has the same identifying factors as the park's costume. However, you change literally everything else. I am talking fabrics, textures, the trimming, the detailing, even the colors. If you look at my Rapunzel costume, you're gonna notice that she is entirely lilac, and the undershirt is a brighter, more purple tone, and it actually falls towards the pink tone. And my flowers that are on my braid are actually in the same color palette. They are a lot more warm toned, and you can see a lot of pinks in there because I wanted to highlight the pink in Rapunzel. Obviously pink is my favorite color, so I wanted to highlight Rapunzel's pink tones a lot more in my costume. The fabric is a lot different. The detailing that she has on the skirt is a lot different, and I actually did add an extra detailing that is not in the Disney Parks dress, which is a beautiful pink, purple, and gold trim. It is under my corset and on my skirt. But yeah, essentially you are keeping the character's main silhouette and main identifying factors of a costume, and then just making it entirely your own. And this is the same thing I've done for most of my characters because this is the category that I fall under. I absolutely love getting creative with my costumes, and I even add historical pieces to their costumes, or I adapt a different color because I believe it'll suit my performers a lot better. Obviously not changing the main integrity and look of the character. For example, my Jasmine costume, which is also a great example of all of this, she is not in that very light turquoise tone that she has in the parks. It's a lot darker turquoise, but again, It is still turquoise. She still has the same silhouette as she has in the parks, at least the old style. It's just my own twist to it. And again, it allows me to be very, very creative. I have a lot of fun altering my costumes whenever they do come in. And it makes me 100% unique because I add bits and pieces that are meaningful for the character's story or to myself and my company, or detailing that I wish or I imagine that they would have had if these princesses were actually real in their own time period. Last but not least, it's the 100% original costume. This is my example for Sprinkles. Sprinkles is my original Christmas elf character, and I will have more original characters coming soon, hopefully. But these are costumes that you literally design yourself. You take even your last brain cell and you put it into this design and you create the whole bajaj and you just make it come to life. And that is wonderful. However, it can also be a little twist in the back. There are some identifying factors that I believe are key to certain characters. For example, if I made a Christmas elf that was, for example, purple, kids were probably not even gonna recognize her. I knew that it didn't matter how original my character was and what silhouette I gave her. I knew that she needed to stay in the red, green, and gold tones because those are usually the colors that Christmas elves wear in movies and in storybooks and all that kind of fun stuff and jazz. Another identifying thing about elves is their hats. They are very, very peculiar, so I know I wanted to keep that shape. Other than that, I got creative with literally every single piece that I added to her, and it is, again, oh so fun to have that creative liberty because, for example, for my Christmas elf, she does have a lot of green in her costume because her favorite color is forest green. And if you look at her costume, it kind of looks like an apron, and she does have a little pouch with some gingerbreads on it because my Christmas elf is actually a baker over at Santa's Bakery, and she loves baking gingerbread cookies, which is why her name is Sprinkles Ginger Frost. So those really fun elements and processes that maybe you cannot do with the park replica costumes are in these original or U factor costumes. And again, it's great because you get to put your creativity in there, and it's oh so fun when kids ask about a certain costume piece and you know the backstory of that costume piece and you just go ham on it. For example, I worked a party as Rapunzel with my Snow White performer, Cece, back in October last year, and it was an incredibly fun party. However, I wanted for my Snow White a bigger and more kind of ruby oriented brooch. Like, I wanted it to look like they were actual rubies in there. So she does wear a very big brooch, and one of the girls pointed it out and she's like, oh my gosh, Snow White, I absolutely love your brooch. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you. The dwarves mind it for me because they know that I love this specific shade of red and they were so hard to find. However, they did find all the pieces and they gifted it to me on Christmas. That is a wonderful use of storytelling while combining your costume pieces. And again, every single costume piece can have a cute little story. So where are you going to find these original pieces? Let's say either the silhouette pieces or the original 100% pieces. You can go one of two routes. You can either work with a commissioner. Keep in mind that commissioners do tend to be on the more luxury side. So in terms of budget, they are very expensive. However, they are incredible quality. So you can either work with a commissioner, or you can do what I do most of the time, which is purchase basic clothing pieces and I alter them entirely. That is because I do have sewing skills. I took sewing classes when I was little, and that is exactly what I did with Isabella. When I got Isabella, Isabella did not have sleeves. She did not have that really weird ruffle that she has on her neckline. The dress came with 3 layers. I wanted to add an extra layer to it where all the flowers would be, and I wanted to add another layer because my Isabella performer is really tall and I didn't want the dress to be as short on her. And obviously I hand sewed every single flower. I hand picked every single flower that was in there. And again, this is something that is a very tedious process. However, it is oh so rewarding when you get to see just something so bland become something so magical. But again, that is if you do have those sewing skills, or you know somebody that has those sewing skills close to you, or that works for your company. However, working with commissioners is a great idea. Just be sure to give them the clear concept about what it is that you want. And again, pointing out, having these original pieces can end up being expensive. For example, a park replica costume at Angel Secret can cost about $150 to $350. For example, if you go to Cosraya, most of their costumes are actually $150. However, when you look at these original costumes or costumes that follow the silhouette, most of the times they do go above this number. If you manage to stay below the number, that is excellent and wonderful and amazing for you. However, they do tend to go above the number because it is a unique piece, and finding those unique pieces takes time and a lot of money. So be mindful about that when you are putting together your own original design. So I truly hope that this video gave you a little bit more insight as to in which direction to go to with your costumes. I always like to point out Princess Parties USA because their Aurora bodice, like the dress follows the exact same silhouette as Aurora. It is a silhouette type of design. It has the same shade of pink. However, their bodice right in the center has a beautiful and stunning, because I've never seen something so stunning, like design, like a lace, a brocade that has a lot of flowers on it, and it just looks oh so beautiful because her name used to be Briar Rose, and it does have little pink roses on it. So that is a beautiful use of creativity, and it elevates the look of your costumes, because you're gonna notice that the more details that you add, the more luxurious your costumes are gonna look like. Again, they can be very, very expensive, or they can be not that expensive. For example, I ordered Alice on AliExpress. I did have to wait for her for like 2 months. However, the dress cost me 15 bucks, including shipping, and it came entirely done. All I did was that I changed the trimming on the apron, and again, I bedazzled it a little bit more, I changed the bow, done. Alice was very, very inexpensive, and I genuinely love how she looks for my company. So it's more about trial and error, finding your own voice, using your costumes. If you have more doubts or questions about where to find these costumes, or just how to start altering them all together, definitely leave it in the comment section down below, or message me on Instagram at happy.blonde.s, and I'll be very, very glad to assist you. Happy Blonde signing off, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!